Welcome into OutKick the show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis, and oh my goodness, we got all sorts of hectic insanity all rolling together, and we're going to dive right into it, and I'm going to tell you why I think everything that has been said is significant in the big NBA Mafia poker investigation that news all broke this morning with FBI Director Kash Patel and many others speaking. I was live on Fox News breaking it all down for a couple of hours this morning. Some of you may have seen it. We talked about it quite a bit on Clay and Buck as well. And now let me just go ahead and dive into all of this. I'm going to try to simplify it. We've got some different cuts to play for all of you. We'll hit other stories too, but obviously this is the one that has captured the public attention and has everybody reacting to it. So this morning, FBI Director Kash Patel announced at a press conference that there were over 30 individuals arrested, including 3 in particular that we know of so far who had strong, long-lasting connections to the NBA. And those individuals were Chauncey Billups, 17-year NBA veteran, Hall of Fame inductee last year to the NBA Hall of Fame, current Portland Trail Blazers head coach, Terry Rozier, who is a basketball player for the Miami Heat, and Damon Jones, who is a former basketball player as well as coach in the NBA. And I'll start with Damon Jones because it is him that is alleged to be the linchpin connecting what are effectively 2 different charges into one story. And let me tell you what those 2 different charges were. First, there was and are and is allegations of sports corruption involving the NBA, an inside sports betting conspiracy that involves Damon Jones, who was a former player and coach, and current NBA player Terry Rozier. And in particular, do we have the Jessica Tisch audio? I will let you hear it from her. But in the part of the indictment on March the 23rd, 2023, it is alleged that Terry Rozier informed individuals that he would be leaving a game early. He did then leave that game early, only played 9 minutes. There were allegedly around $200,000 in prop bet wagers placed on him on the under. They did not cash. And then later, according to Jessica Tisch, the $200,000 was counted at Terry Rozier's home. This is that part of the indictment being discussed earlier today. Play it.
In some instances, players altered their performance or took themselves out of games to make sure that those bets paid out. One example occurred on March 23rd, 2023 in Charlotte. Terry Rozier, an NBA player now with the Miami Heat, but at the time playing for the Hornets, allegedly let others close to him know that he planned to leave the game early with a supposed injury. Using that information, members of the group placed more than $200,000 in wagers on his under statistics. Rozier exited the game after just 9 minutes, and those bets paid out, generating tens of thousands of dollars in profit. The proceeds were later delivered to his home, where the group counted their cash. As the NBA season tips off, his career is already benched, not for injury, but for integrity.
Okay, so a little bit of backstory. Terry Rozier this year is making $26.6 million. He has made so far in his NBA career over $160 million. If these FBI allegations are true, he is likely to spend time in prison and his NBA career is likely over, all as the result of around $200,000. Guys, this year alone, Terry Rozier is making over $340,000 per NBA game. He makes almost every half what is alleged that he made or facilitated the making of through prop bets every single half nearly that he plays in an NBA season. If he did this, this is dumb on a moron level the likes of which we have rarely seen. He risked his entire career and his entire freedom for roughly what he makes in one half of every NBA game. And he would set up to make a lot more money because he's still, I think, only like 31 years old. So relatively speaking, he is still a young man. This is an all-time stupid act. In particular, in this press conference, and I'll get into the mafia-style side of the ledger here in a moment, but in particular, it is alleged that the sports books were the victims. You might say, okay, well, how were the sports books the victims here, Clay? They set a number, and it is being intentionally and fraudulently taken advantage of by a player who determines whether or not he hits that number. And I went on and I said it may seem, and it certainly does to lots of people, that there are more gambling scandals now. Jonte Porter, the Alabama men's baseball coach. I suspect that what is happening is we're just becoming more aware of illegal wagers that have been involved in sports because making sports gambling legal shines a much brighter light on all of these bets than would occur if it was not legal. That is, sports books recognize irregular wager patterns and take note of them and flag them and sometimes turn them over to authorities. And so I said this, and I don't think it's even remotely controversial. Mediaite, a site that is online, grabbed what I said on America's Newsroom earlier and tried to make it look like I was the bad guy here. I pull it up because I want to address it. Like, I don't mind when people take my opinions and they disagree with them. And people come out and they say, oh, you know what, Clay, you're wrong about this, or I disagree, or I'm on the other side of an equation. That's how sports, that's how politics, that's how arguments in general end up working out. But the headline, and I don't know, guys, will you let me know if they've changed the headline? The headline was at Mediaite, Clay Travis argues legal sports books may help authorities spot red flags amid wild NBA conspiracy. Yeah, what I said is 100% true. It's not even remotely controversial. Like, yes, sports books don't want games to be rigged. It costs them money. They want for action to be reliable and trustworthy. And instead, when it is rigged, like this allegation of rigging from Terry Rozier when he was playing on March 23rd, 2023, they don't want this to happen because it costs them money. They were the victims here, as the FBI says. And so before I get into the poker side of the equation, I am in favor of legalized sports gambling. Those of you who have watched this program or listened to me for any number of years know that to be true. And every now and then people come after me and they say, hey, you shouldn't be in favor of legal sports gambling. I disagree, okay? And I've cited for a long time alcohol prohibition. Long before my life, we decided, you know what, you should not be able to sell alcohol. Right? It's prohibited. And as a result, we're going to penalize people. And what happens? Something that is popular goes entirely underground. And I bet a huge percentage of you that listen to this program at some point in time this year or this week or maybe this day will have a beer or you'll have a liquor drink. And some people are going to become alcoholics because of it. And I wish that never happened. But I would rather have legalized alcohol and let people make choices and bring it above board, just like I would rather have legalized sports gambling. Because Pete Rose got banned from baseball for betting on the Reds back when it was illegal to bet on sports gambling basically anywhere. You could still do it in Nevada. Las Vegas got green lighted in, so they had a monopoly, which those of you who remember the feeling of back in the day, one reason people loved going to Las Vegas was you could land in Las Vegas and you could go into a sports book and suddenly you could legally bet on every game. And in fact, if you go back in time, Todd Fuhrman and I were the first two people among them. Carissa Thompson was with us. I think eventually Andy Roddick, Kelly Stewart, who I do a show with now. We did a show live from the Westgate Sportsbook, inside of a sportsbook in, I believe it was the spring of 2014, so like 11 years ago. I am very much in favor of sports gambling being legal. I wish that nobody would be addicted to alcohol. I wish nobody would be addicted to sports gambling. But I think if you drive sports gambling under the table, you actually make rigging of games more likely, as occurred all the way back with the White Sox and the Black Sox scandal. So I believe you should be able to gamble. I believe you should be able to drink alcohol. And I've long been in favor of that, and I'm not going to change. Some of you can disagree, and I'll think about you when I drink my bourbon and place my gambling bets tonight. But that is one side of the equation. So you have Terry Rozier. You have the allegations that basically there were fixes being put in place associated with the NBA. And you have Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones. On the other side of the equation, you have a suggestion that there was mafia involvement in high-stakes poker matches. And in particular, and by the way, any graphics we have to support related to this poker discussion, you guys can just pop up, because I'm just going to kind of lay out what I heard during the press conference. You have Chauncey Billups, maybe Damon Jones as well, being used as what they called face cards, people to draw in others in order to be engaged in poker games. They then had what they called a quarterback who was being signaled on what the cards were showing. They had special eyeglasses they were wearing, contact lenses, X-ray machines underneath supposedly the card distribution facility. I believe that we have a couple of cuts of this. Let me pull up and check and see what audio availability we have here. This is the rigged poker details. Can we get that still pulled up to show the rigged poker details? And then the overall breakdown here of everything having to do. You can see it there on the screen. This is a pretty extraordinary story, and one that, frankly, I wouldn't expect to even exist. It feels like a movie, frankly, as you run through so many of these different details. This is from Chad Millman. X-ray machines built into tables to read face-down cards, contact lenses / glasses that read pre-marked cards, secret cameras in card trays, secret cameras in chandeliers. And we did a little bit earlier share a clip of a pro poker player saying, I did on my Twitter account, now it's been pulled. I don't know if anybody grabbed that or not, but saying that for years people had been talking about Chauncey Billups. Do we have that? Did we manage to grab that? Watch this. This is a pro poker player saying for years people have been talking about how Chauncey Billups' game was just not on the up and up. And all the time you had guys who were not very good at poker suddenly winning poker hands. Watch this.
And it was all built around Chauncey Billups. And I had heard about the game, and the person who told me about it was like, look, I know the game runners. I'm telling you 100% this game is on the up and up. And I was like, well, I know a lot of the people that are involved, and I'm telling you 100% that it is not on the up and up.
Yeah.
And, we kind of went back and forth, and I agreed that, like, I just wasn't going to go play it. But I had some friends who went and played it both in LA and in Vegas. And it obviously, like, was for sure confirmed to be cheated. Mm-hmm. Like, people who clearly didn't even understand the rules of No Limit Hold'em are just, like, jamming hundreds of big blinds in with, like, a gutty. And then just drilling it. Yeah. Only the pros are losing.
Okay, that was, I'm told, from May of 2023. So what, over 2.5 years almost ago, guys were going on podcast, and they were saying, hey, this Chauncey Billups stuff is not on the up and up. There's no way these guys are winning. Turns out the mafia was involved, according to the FBI allegations. One victim lost up to $1.8 million. Let me tell you something. There are all sorts of super high-stakes poker games going on all over the country on a regular basis. I have been invited. I am smart enough to know that I am a fish. So I work hard for my money. I have never gone to play against poker pros. I did the Poker After Dark. Some of you watched me on that. I got dunked on. I know what I'm good at. I'm good at talking. I'm good at reading and making sense of complicated things. If you go and look at test scores, like I'm a perfect side verbal test taker. I'm just good at math. I'm not great at math. And if you're a really great math player or just a mathematician, you're really good, you should be, in poker because you can immediately analyze the odds of every card as it is being flipped and recognize when you actually are likely to have significant advantage and when you're not. I'm smart enough to know that I'm the fish. And I don't want to just give other people money and not get anything from it. So I've never gone to these high-end poker matches. Lots of guys, it doesn't surprise me at all, would just like the experience of playing poker with Chauncey Billups, Mr. Big Shot, or other guys who are recognizable. Celebrity games, lots of money. Heck, if you can lose $1.8 million playing poker, you're super friggin' rich, right? And so they want really rich guys to come play against professional poker players. If I were a professional poker player, I'd want to play against me because you'd be very likely to win. And so I've never done it. Never played in one of these high-stakes games. But I bet there's a bunch of dudes that watch this clip, and I bet they have. And I bet some of them even may have played in the Chauncey Billups games. They said it was 11 states and thought to themselves, man, this doesn't feel on the up and up. Well, you were right. So all of this going on, 13 different mafia members arrested, so much information out there. Let me tell you this. You say, okay, Clay, what do you think? If the FBI indicts you, you tend to get convicted. There are some exceptions, certainly, but the FBI is pretty good usually at bringing federal charges on people and getting indictments when those cases go to trial. The one thing I think is going to be a defense is I would bet Chauncey Billups is going to come out and say, hey, I didn't know the poker game was rigged. I thought I was just playing poker. I didn't know anything about any of the rig job. I wasn't involved. Presumably they have evidence to argue that he did know, but I'm telling you what his defense is going to be. Some of this stuff, too, I think they're going to argue, is it actually illegal? Is it actually illegal to share non-public information about whether players are going to play in games or not and have that impact sports wagers? I don't know the answer on that. I think that is a defense maybe. That's not insider trading. That's legal. Because everybody's always trying to get information on, is a guy going to play, is a guy not going to play? Now, maybe you violate some rule in the NBA. Maybe there is a fraud provision in your contract. I don't know. I've never signed them. But for Damon Jones and maybe the Terry Rozier is tougher. If he's like dead to rights saying, hey, bet on me, I'm going to fake an injury and not play for the rest of the game, that's tough to get over. That's tough to argue defense of. The Damon Jones potential information about whether guys were going to start or not, that to me is a more sort of tenuous legal ground than a player allegedly like Terry Rozier telling his buddies, hey, bet on me, I'm going to fake an injury and I'm only going to play 9 minutes. Now, ESPN did not do a good job covering this. One reason is because they're in bed with the NBA. Another reason is because they're in bed with gambling companies. And in fact, as they started talking about it on Get Up this morning, if we play this clip, you can see there's actually an ad for ESPN Bet in the corner until one of the producers realizes, hey, wait a minute, maybe we shouldn't have an ad here. Watch this. Just an image. All right, we don't have the audio, but you can see it in the right corner there. Okay. Also, Stephen A. then went on First Take, and he said, hey, this is Donald Trump. This is a part of his vengeance campaign. Stephen A. is sometimes very right in his takes. He's sometimes very wrong. I would put this in the very wrong camp. Watch.
We know what world that I live in terms of politics. How many times, for one incident after another, have I said, Trump is coming? He's coming. I'm going to say it on national television again. Bad Bunny is performing at the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden you hearing ICE is going to be there, looking to engage in mass deportations. The Super Bowl, disrupting things. Big night for the NBA. Wembanyama put on a show. That has now been smeared because we're talking about this story, okay? Remember, Trump has a long, long history connected to the world of sports because he had those casinos. Where do you think folks were coming half the time? I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about the culture. When people want to go to a casino, when people want to gamble, when people want to party, or whatever the case may be. This was his kind of connection to that. Why am I glad you're here, Monica? Because don't be surprised if the WNBA is next on his list. Because when you've got all of these protests that have been going out there and people that have been protesting against him and what have you, this man is coming. He's coming.
They may have told President Trump that these charges were coming. This investigation started when Trump was not in office. Joe Biden was in office when this investigation began. This is long running. When this issue with Terry Rozier about leaving the game early, March 23rd, 2023. The dates of when these betting incidents happened, December 2022, March 2024. This started actually, these poker matches, supposedly back in 2019, when Trump was still in office. But this is a multi-year expansive investigation that to a large extent was occurring while Joe Biden was president. Trump definitely wants to bring retribution to those who he believes wrongly charged him. It is not the case, in my opinion, that this is remotely that. I think Stephen A. is 100 billion% wrong in the way that he is analyzing this at the present point in time. All right. That is my take. I think we hit anything. Guys, text me. Is there any other clip relating to the mafia-style shakedowns of poker or this sports corruption that we have out there? I don't think we do. Let me know if we have any other asset that we want to share. If not, let me go ahead and jump into this. Michael Jordan now doing NBC. They had the opening of the NBA season just a couple of days ago. And Jordan sat down with Mike Tirico and told a story about how he was at the Ryder Cup. And he was renting the house for the Ryder Cup. And the guy who had rented the house to him showed up with his grandkids and was talking all about Michael Jordan and asked Jordan to shoot a free throw. Jordan said he hadn't touched a basketball in years. This story is everything about why I love Jordan. Watch.
Do you ever pick up a ball and just shoot?
I haven't picked up a ball in years.
No, come on. Just like walk past. There's got to be a hoop somewhere at your place.
You don't see a hoop anywhere around here, right?
I don't.
It's a
Seriously,
reason. It's
the
a
last
reason.
time you picked up a basketball and shot it?
I was at the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
And I rented a house from the owner.
Sure.
He came over to do pictures. He had grandkids. And I was meet and greet and thank him for allowing me to stay in the house. And he had a basketball court. He says, I want you to shoot one free throw. I said, really? And I already paid for the house. It's not like they got to see me. So when I stepped up to shoot the free throw, it's the most nervous I've been in years.
Stop it.
In years.
Stop it. Come on.
And reason being is those kids heard the stories from the parents about what I did 30 years ago.
Right.
So their expectation is 30 years prior, and I haven't touched the basketball.
I hope you swished it.
Absolutely.
A quick Michael Jordan story from when I was a kid. I only got to watch Michael Jordan play once in person. I was a little kid, probably like a fifth grader, around the age of my youngest son now. I don't know that they do this very often now, but back in the day, they used to do preseason tour NBA games where they would let people who lived in cities where there were not NBA games have the opportunity to go watch an NBA game. And this was a big deal. And the Bulls came to Vanderbilt. I don't even remember who the Bulls were playing, just that my dad got me tickets, and I got to go watch Michael Jordan play. And Michael Jordan busted his ass in that preseason game. And I remember thinking, and it was, that it was one of the coolest moments of my childhood that I got to go watch Michael Jordan play a basketball game at Vanderbilt Memorial Gymnasium as a kid. I loved Michael Jordan. Everybody was ecstatic. He played, and he played hard. And later in his career, Michael Jordan would point out why he cared so much about playing 82 games. And I'm paraphrasing him, but he said, you never know when some kid is going to get to watch you, that's the only game they get to go to. I didn't want to let him down. And I think about that now with what I do. Much less significant level. I'll explain why. But let me talk about the Jordan aspect to it. He respected his audience so much, and you could even see it when he told that story. He was afraid of letting down the audience that watched him by not showing himself at his best. He wanted everyone to see them at their best, to see him at his best. And I was that kid. I only got to watch Michael Jordan play once. I will never forget being that kid. You get the opportunity, if you're lucky, when you're a little kid and your daddy's not rich and your mom's not rich, you might get the opportunity to go to one game a year. Christmas present, birthday present, dad and mom, with what tickets cost these days, they have to work so hard to get the time to travel, get those tickets, and now they may go to an NBA game and one of their favorite athletes might just not be playing because of load management. They don't respect the fans that are paying their salary. Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, they did. Now, I have a job that is a pinprick of the significance of Michael Jordan back in the day. But I think about this all the time when I sit down and I do my radio show. I didn't miss a day during COVID in 20 years. Whatever you think about me, I have never missed a show on radio because I was sick. It's never happened. I've never called in sick. We used to joke about it on the OutKick the Coverage show when I did the show solo. Like, what would happen if I called in sick? There wasn't even a plan. I don't even know what they would have done. Every morning the alarm goes off at 4:15, and I was up, and I was ready to go at 5 a.m. my time for years. Never missed a 3HL show for being sick. Not saying I don't take vacation, because I do. I want to spend time with my kids. I want to travel. Never missed a Clay and Buck show for being sick. Because I feel an obligation to show up and do my best for the audience that's out there, that's paying my salary. And if I were doing it, my best may not be that great. I might not be great on that day. I might screw up. You may not like my takes. I might not ask the perfect question. But I'm going to show up. Michael Jordan showed up. And I think that lesson is important. A lot of people who don't show up. There's a lot of people who don't work very hard. There's a lot of people who don't do their best to get the last ounce of their ability out. Jordan did. And I think it's why he's so beloved today. Because he had a blue-collar mindset about an elite level of talent. And if you can combine those two, you've got transcendent opportunity. Think about that. A elite talent level with a blue-collar work ethic, it wins every time. And Jordan had that. And I think it's why so many of us, and I would put myself in the Jordan era, still consider him to be the greatest, because we knew that we were getting his apex level effort every single night. He didn't mail it in. He didn't take nights off. And there were lots of little kids like me, young Clay Travis, who only got to watch Michael Jordan play once at Vanderbilt's Memorial Gym for a preseason game, when Michael Jordan went hard and played as if it were a regular season game and showed up and played in the preseason. How many other people would do that? I think that's super important lesson to learn. All right. I saw this story, and I honestly was just kind of blown away by it. Minnesota's Supreme Court. Today, this morning, this story came out. At least I saw it this morning, but the opinion may have come out last night, or it may have come out early this morning. 7-0. All Democrat appointees to the Minnesota Supreme Court said that it violated and was on its face discrimination against a male power lifter to restrict him from being able to compete in the women's powerlifting category. I couldn't believe this was real. 7-0 on the Supreme Court. It violates his human rights under Minnesota law to not allow a man, and this is a big dude because he's a power lifter, to not allow a male power lifter to identify as a woman. And Jennifer Say shared this tweet, which I retweeted, power grift. You want to talk about grifting? Look at this dude. This is a big old boy that is doing powerlifting. And for those of you who lift at all, really great power lifters are never small. This is a big dude who decided to identify as a woman, and the USA Powerlifting Federation, or whatever the heck they're called, said, no, we can't have men competing as women's powerlifters. And boom, the Minnesota Supreme Court 7-0 said this guy's being discriminated against. His human rights are being violated. He has to be able to compete. And it comes on the heels. This is, we got one more picture here. I don't know that gender testing is infallible. I don't know very many chicks with bodies like this. This is a man who has identified as a woman and is refusing, has won women's championships, and is refusing to submit to a gender test. It's a dude, all right? I have not seen very many of these photos where they say, hey, pick out the man, and it's like a bunch of women and a dude. It's usually pretty easy to do, all right? Now, I haven't been to Thailand, so I don't know. Maybe there's some of those lady boys over there or whatever that can confuse you. I hope that I'll never have to be in a situation where I have to pick out the dude among Thai lady boys. But I've never had difficulty in America figuring out who the dude was and who the chicks were. All right, love all of you. We're going to do the fade now with Kelly Stewart. I think we hit most things. And I appreciate you. I will be back Monday with OutKick the show. But up now, it is the fade with Kelly Stewart. We'll break down some of the big NFL and college football action coming your way. Beginning tonight, DBAP, unless you need to, SBAP, and don't rig any games. All right? Try to avoid getting arrested by the FBI. We'll see you on Monday.